I'm Dan Eley, founder of the Dan Eley Foundation. I'd like to tell you a little bit about my charity and why it means so much to me. I was born and grew up in a small town called Godalming in the south of England. I had a very happy childhood. I loved sport. I remember going out camping with friends, fishing, going to festivals. I studied psychology at University of Greenwich, then studied a TEFL course teaching English as a foreign language, and went to live in Spain teaching English for a year. Having learnt Spanish in Spain, I decided to go backpacking in South America, in the Andean region. I returned and did a couple of years volunteer work in Central America with street children and with youngsters in communities affected by gang violence. My travels then took me down to Colombia, which is where I ended up taking a job and living. I was living in Cali, which is one of the largest cities in Colombia, really enjoying my job, learning salsa and really embracing the lifestyle in Colombia and enjoying the warmth of the people. It was Christmas holidays. I had gone to a lake with some friends and some locals, and they were larking around in the water. They beckoned me to come in, and I took a running dive into the waves. The next memory I have, I was looking up at a clear blue sky, and a girl was looking down on me with a very worried expression on her face. She told me the ambulance is on its way, and my first reaction was, whatever for? I felt fine, I wasn't concussed, I couldn't feel any pain, and then as I tried to get up, I realised I couldn't move at all. I was transferred and taken to a private hospital in Bogota, where my head was actually fixed back onto my spinal column. A tube was inserted into my throat to enable me to breathe. My sister and my mum flew over from England to be by my bedside. My condition was very critical. I had 4 cardiac arrests from which I was resuscitated, and it was then suggested to us as a family that we should consider a no resuscitation order, since, in the words of my consultant, I would never walk again, never use my hands, and probably never have any quality of life. At that time, it was just impossible for me to imagine any kind of happy life in that condition. The next problem we faced was that I needed an air ambulance to fly back from Colombia to the UK, something which cost in the region of £80,000 to £100,000. A friend of mine in the UK started something called the Help Dan campaign. It was a Facebook group, and over the course of the next 5 weeks, 8,000 people from 40 different countries raised the money to fly me back from Colombia to London. It's something that I still don't really understand exactly why those people gave or how that happened, but for the first time in my life it showed me the true strength and value of human kindness and gave me a much needed boost at a time when I couldn't really see much reason for carrying on. The only positive thing I can remember from that time is people saying that by me smiling at them, with them and laughing with them, that they felt inspired from that. And although at that time I wasn't ready to start thinking about what my life would be like, it did plant a seed in my mind that through this adversity there is this opportunity to inspire people. I left hospital after 11 months. In some sense this was the most difficult part. When you're in hospital in a ward, you feel pretty much like anyone else when you're lying down. When you come out of hospital and you're thrown back into the real world, I all of a sudden became acutely aware of how physically disabled I was. I remember going out with friends, seeing them with their girlfriends, hearing of their travels, and coming home feeling absolutely gutted. I couldn't really imagine any way in which I'd be happy again, let alone productive. The only thing I could think of doing was drawing on my experience of working with street children and remembering what people had told me in hospital, that they felt inspired just from seeing me smile. I thought I could use the power of inspiration to start my own charity to support youngsters I'd witnessed living in poverty in South America, to get them into skills training and into employment. Our next big challenge was to find a partner charity in Colombia with whom we could work with to carry out our aims. I spoke to my friends in Colombia and they all pointed me in the direction of one charity called Foundation Education for All. What we do together is to run 6-month training courses for youngsters between the age of 16 and 25 from slum areas, and we tailor our courses as much as possible to meet the demands of the job market. Up to date, we've run 5 courses, we've trained over 150 youngsters, and I'm very pleased to say that most of those youngsters we've taken from an impoverished background where they had very few, if any, opportunities. Most of them are now working in salaried employment in a related field. 2 years after my accident, I finally felt ready to return to Colombia. I wanted to say thank you to all the people who were involved in saving my life. I went back to the clinic in Bogota where I was treated so well. And finally I got the opportunity to meet our partner charity and meet the youngsters that we're going to support. I've been back to Colombia a few times now. It's actually started to feel quite normal travelling in a wheelchair. It's always a great joy when I'm out there. I get to meet the new students and I also get to see the progress of previous students. I knew them when they were timid before they'd started the courses, and to see their self-belief, maturity, and to see how well they're doing in their jobs has been a wonderful experience for me. As well as the work we do in Colombia, it was important to me to try and help out locally in my home county of Surrey in England. We've been supporting a charity called Skillway, which provides vocational skills training for youngsters from local schools, and it gives them the opportunity 1 day a week to learn a trade or a craft. Recently we did a fundraising concert in conjunction with Godalming Sixth Form College to support underprivileged youngsters locally. We were supported by comedy legend Ben Elton, who's an ex-Godalming College student himself, as am I.
And that's why I was so proud to be a part of Dan's Foundation tonight.
It was a great event and we raised a lot of money to support youngsters locally. It's really important to us to expand upon what we've done locally. Seeing the impact it's had, we want to increase our support and support youngsters from even more disadvantaged backgrounds. I was fortunate enough to be chosen as one of the Olympic torchbearers in July 2012, and to carry the Olympic torch up the high street of my hometown, town where I grew up as a boy, really was the greatest moment of my life since and before my accident, and that really is something I never thought would be possible. On a personal level, I still desire the same things out of life as anyone else my age. I'd like to have a family, I'd like to travel more. With regards to the charity, if I can continue to use this experience and this message to inspire and have a positive impact on the lives of youngsters, nothing would make me more happy than that.